By 1934, Corinne had divorced her second husband, and according to Howard Hughes' biographer, Darwin Porter, briefly had a romance with Hughes, although the pair had known each other and been friends for years and would be until his death. She ended up marrying George Preston Marshall, owner of the now called Washington Commanders, formerly the unfortunate, antiquated, rather racist name Redskins at the time. She became interested in her husband's team and wrote the lyrics that are still used in the fight song to this day, now entitled Hail to the Commanders. By the 1940s, Corinne decided to invest in more real estate. I forgot to mention before that in 1927, she started buying real estate in the Los Angeles area and investing in it to increase her revenue. In the 1940s, she was ready to do that more. She purchased all 4 lots at Charleville Boulevard at South Beverly Drive in Los Angeles, and she had buildings built that she helped design. Some sites that I researched incorrectly said the intersection was South Beverly Drive at Wilshire Boulevard, unless she owned all the buildings at both intersections, which is quite possible when you hear how much money she had in her estate when she passed away. But Corinne's Four Corners building are all still standing at Charleville Boulevard, I am happy to report. Corinne's real estate ventures became so successful and well-known that she was invited to speak at the 1950 National Association of Real Estate Boards convention. During this time period, Corinne also began writing, eventually publishing several books. Some were a little controversial as she began to campaign to abolish the income tax. She also wrote My Life with the Redskins about her work with the football team, and Papa's Delicate Condition, an autobiography about her early childhood and relationship with her father. It became a bestseller and was made into a film in 1963 and starred Jackie Gleason. As you can see here, her name was misspelled in the opening credits. It's Corinne, not Corinne. Anyways, she ended up publishing 8 more books in her lifetime. A few cookbooks, antique books, fiction, and nonfiction. In 1960, she was awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Side note real quick, I'm probably mispronouncing her name. I hope I'm not. I hope it's Corinne. Anyways, I want to briefly return to Howard Hughes for a minute. According to his biographer, Porter, Corinne was lured back to Hollywood by actor-director Hugo Haas to appear in Paradise Alley in the late 1950s. She reportedly helped finance the picture. Also, before this, Hughes apparently repeatedly asked Corinne's advice about real estate and other financial matters. Corinne did make a brief comeback in Paradise Alley, which was filmed and initially released in 1958 and again released in 1962 to a wider audience. It did not receive much fanfare but has become sort of a cult classic over the years. It's still a very nice little film though, kind of a little indie film, if you will. In the film, a man decides to direct a movie in his backyard as a solution to get his feuding neighbors to make peace. So he invites them all to come and be in the movie, hoping to solve all of their quarrels. Meanwhile, 2 young lovers from the bickering families fall in love. Corinne played the mother of the teenage girl in the story. Their family's life is turned upside down when they all agree to participate in the film. Corinne even gets to make a few references to her former stardom and get in a few zingers. I'm going to play 2 clips back to back. Take a look. What's nice here is that Corinne appears to be enjoying herself and joyously looking back on her film career by playing a woman that can quip about it. She is also far from glamorous, but more of a working mother and seems quite comfortable in that role. It's interesting to think about her potential new career in the mother roles genre that so many of her peers drifted into at this point. But Corinne didn't need the work and retired once again to focus on her writing and her real estate. In 1965, having divorced Marshall, she married a much younger man and tried to annul the marriage soon after. What followed was a totally bonkers court case, which is a word I don't normally use, but another word I could use is berserk. In the case, she was ordered to pay alimony to her now ex-husband, and to get out of it, she apparently revealed that she was not Corinne Griffith. Corinne Griffith is dead, and I am her sister, is what she said. Then she said she had been impersonating Corinne Griffith for close to 40 years. Then when that didn't work, she said that she was another of the Griffin sisters. If you want to read about it, Google Corinne Griffith court case. It's crazy. I don't really want to talk about it here because it seems like a disservice to Corinne when I'm discussing her talent as an actor. I like to think that there was a reason for the totally bizarre story she told in this court case, but maybe she was just trying to use her acting skills again to keep her money and not let a man keep her down or take away her dream. Speaking of men and money, Corinne was quoted as saying the following around the same time. I got my money without the help of any man. Women wise enough to earn their own money will get a broader understanding of life, a new respect from their husband, and a bank account which they can use without resorting to old tricks. I'm just imagining her singing along with Aretha Franklin's Respect at this point, saying that your kiss is sweeter than honey, but guess what, so is my money. Anyways, during the 1970s, Corinne published a few more books and released 2 albums that I cannot find anywhere, but don't worry, I will find them. Because one of them is entitled Love and Moods by Corinne. Sounds magical. Corinne lived quietly until her death in July 1979 from a heart attack brought on by a stroke at age 84. Corinne left behind a fortune estimated to be $150 million, $650 million in 2023 dollars. In 1976, an actor turned writer, Tom Tryon, wrote a book called Fedora about a silent film actress who gets her younger daughter to become her so that she can forever remain youthful, at least until the daughter gets old, in the public's eye. He was apparently very public about his inspiration, Corinne's court case. This book was made into a film directed by Billy Wilder. Yes, Billy Wilder, that directed Sunset Boulevard, also directed this story of a complicated silent film actress. Bizarre court cases aside, Corinne left behind a legacy as not only one of the most talented and beautiful actresses of the silent era, but one of the wealthiest women in American history. So we are left with a question. Why did Corinne's Talkie Stardom not stick? Folklore tells us it was her nasal voice. But from my investigation, it wasn't her voice, but the rumor mill spreading that dirt around. Supposedly, published press that was taken as gospel when it actually was inaccurate, if ever existed in the first place. Similarly to John Gilbert, who I'll make a video about soon, Corinne felt that she had to prove herself as a talkie star. She tried. She became embarrassed when the rumor mill spread. Known to be prim, proper, courteous, and classy, she decided to walk away without a comment, while the memory of her silent hits were still fresh in the public's minds, and not tarnish that memory with any more additional unsuccessful melodrama talkies. Why did the entire nasal voice rumor become so powerful over her career? Who can say? I can only assume that the overall melancholy tone of Lilies of the Field and just depressing atmosphere it created led to its being a flop at the time of release. Corinne, being the major star of the film, was the one probably blamed rather than the studio or the director, and that blame morphed into a taken-for-granted story about the sound of her voice. Everyone began saying that her voice was terrible, and pretty soon she decided not to give them the chance to do so anymore. Corinne walked away, still close to the top as an extremely wealthy woman who would only go on to be more wealthy. With a mind for business and an incredible business intelligence, Corinne went on to continue her reputation as a hardworking talent, despite her talents now being in the business world rather than on the screen. Any personal drama and crazy divorce cases aside, she was a brilliant talent. Thank you, Corinne. Oh, and P.S. She also dictated that there should be more than enough parking. Let me rephrase this. There should be not just enough parking, but more than enough parking. Extra parking, lots of parking, near her 4 buildings in Los Angeles, an act that folks are still thanking her for to this day, according to a post I saw tonight on Facebook. Someone said, "Thank you, Miss Griffith, for the parking. Nowhere else has this much parking. Thank you and bless you." Next week, I will be investigating the silent to talkie career of the great Evelyn Prier, who is considered to be the first African-American movie star. If you have not seen her performance in Oscar shows Within Our Gates from 1920, I highly recommend it. as you will be blown away and moved. But more about that movie and Evelyn next week. Thank you for joining me this evening. I'm Charlie Goodrich from Silence to Talkies. Good night.